Two men lived whose lives seemed similar on the surface, yet their differences ran far deeper than anyone realized. David was a genius. His house was full of books, lab equipment, and charts. He could solve any math problem, design bridges, and create machines that would work perfectly, if only he had all the materials and ideal conditions. People admired him and called him the man who knows everything. Michael was an ordinary man. He didn't have a high IQ, but he possessed something far more important: wisdom. He knew when to speak, when to act, and when to simply be present. His life was calm and full of joy, and his family loved him deeply. Families and hidden struggles. David was married to Sarah, an intelligent and ambitious woman. Together, they had two children, Emily and Jacob. On the surface, the family seemed perfect. Everything was planned, organized, and efficient. But behind the facade, emptiness lingered. David spent his days in experiments and analytical projects. Sarah often felt lonely, and the children felt invisible, craving attention from a father who was constantly elsewhere. Michael, on the other hand, lived in the house next door. His wife, Anna, cared deeply for the family, and their children, Liam and Sophie, were happy and thriving. Michael found joy in simple things: shared meals, gardening, and laughter. Life was simple but full. The first storm, a lesson in presence. One September morning, a severe storm hit the town. Winds tore at rooftops and rain flooded streets. David immediately pulled out papers and a pencil. He calculated water currents, drafted protection plans, and mapped every possible scenario. "Sarah, I need you to stay calm," he said, eyes glued to the charts. "David, our house might collapse. The kids are outside." But David was too absorbed in his calculations. He forgot the simplest precautions: checking the roof, closing the windows, bringing the children to safety. Michael, without overthinking, grabbed buckets, secured the roof, and ensured his children were safely inside. The storm passed, and his family was unharmed. David realized his failure, but was too proud to admit it to Sarah. Meanwhile, townspeople began to whisper, the brilliant David couldn't even protect his own family. Work and deception. David was respected beyond his household. At his technology firm, his analytical skills produced innovative projects, but colleagues noticed his disconnect from reality, his occasional harshness, and lack of empathy. Michael ran a local store and thrived in his community. People sought him not for brilliance, but for calm, honest guidance. One day, an investment consultant moved to town, offering David projects with promises of huge returns. David, fascinated by numbers and logical schemes, agreed. Sarah protested, "David, this is risky. We could lose everything." But David trusted his intellect over intuition. Soon, the investment failed. The family lost their savings, and David felt a bitter defeat that intelligence alone could not solve. Michael, who never had a high IQ, faced challenges too, but he always reacted practically. When his small business faced obstacles, he found compromises, maintained relationships, and preserved family harmony. Michael's solutions were simple but effective. His success couldn't be measured by numbers. It was in the peace and stability of his family and community. The final lesson. David finally understood. His life was full of intellectual and professional achievements, yet his family suffered. Michael's life, though simple, was full of love, peace, and respect. David began to change. He spent time with Sarah and the children, listening and learning that true wisdom isn't just knowledge, but the ability to be present, respond to reality, and nurture one's family. In the end, David and Michael found balance. David retained his analytical genius, but learned to apply it for the well-being of his loved ones. Michael continued living his simple, wise, and joyful life. This story is now dramatized with intrigue, dialogue, and emotional depth, suitable for a 10-plus minute YouTube narration with potential visual cues, tension, and pacing. If you want, I can now create a full narrated script with time cues, dramatic pauses, and visual prompts ready to record for you.